the entire political system is kind of captured by the Israel lobby on both sides of the fence. But what we're seeing now, Peter, is just vast swaths of the right move away from the Israel first attachment. It does break down on generational lines, and that's something that's worth noticing. But there's such a disconnect between where the culture is at on this issue and where the political class is, not only the bureaucracy, but obviously the presidency, Congress, etc. So I think that explains why the Zionist lobby is acting so extreme and so radical right now, right out in the open, brazenly bragging about the greater Israel project, as Bezalel Smotrich does, as Netanyahu does, as they always do, because they see their window of opportunity to get what they want done under Trump. Yeah, a narrowing window of opportunity. So I agree with you. We have to educate the masses. There has to be a continual trajectory away from this. And, we haven't seen it manifest in the political system yet, but I'm telling you, in 10 years, I really have the white-pilled belief that we will see differences in how these issues are handled, where a presidential debate, instead of being focused on the subject of who supports Israel more, might be focused on who supports Israel less, whether or not it's just rhetorical. I do think we're going to see some changes kind of manifest.
I think you're right in that the timeline is probably about a decade. I think that the next presidential election is going to be very interesting in terms of who runs, and I do think the rhetoric will start. I don't think the change will happen. I think it's very likely that a Democrat might very well win the next election. But the problem with that, I believe, and this is one of the reasons why I have a lot of respect for Tucker and Candace, because the thing that I've noticed from them in particular, and they are the two most influential voices in the America First movement, the people that supported Trump or that supported the GOP, they are not married to the political party the way that people who vote for the Democratic Party are married to the party. And whether it's a very fear-based mindset that, liberals and progressives tend to have, even though they know that these people will never serve their interests. You can name anybody. It doesn't matter. It's Gavin Newsom. It could be AOC. It could be Governor Pritzker. It could be Governor Whitmer. It could be Governor Shapiro. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. There isn't this person that stood out. The only person in the last, I don't know, since JFK, the only person who ran for president that truly stood out was Bernie Sanders in 2015 and 2016. And then for whatever reason, he got his head straight after that. And his run in 20 was nothing like it was in 15 and 16. And so people that are still hanging on to that, they're going to find out very quickly that there is a difference between what somebody like Hassan Piker is selling versus what somebody like Tucker Carlson is selling right here.
Because, you and I and everyone else who supported him, you wrote speeches for him, I campaigned for him. We're implicated in this for sure.
Yes.
It's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, or like, oh, this is bad, I'm out. It's like, in very small ways, but in real ways, you and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now.
Yes.
So I do think it's like a moment to wrestle with our own consciences.
I couldn't agree more. And it takes a lot of courage to do this. On the one hand, I think one of the biggest reasons that he is saying what he's saying is because he has fuck you money. He is under no obligation to play footsies with anybody. I do believe he is CIA. And I do believe there are people that work in the State Department that all don't agree with the same thing. There isn't this like universal agreement within CIA, NSA, FBI that everybody is all on the same page. They're not. I think Tucker had sort of a come to Jesus moment, whatever it was. He woke up one day and realized that I have to do something. And he has been as stick-to-itive on this issue as one could hope anybody would be. And he is making no compromises. And he does it in such an effective way. No one is as effective as him. He's as good as it gets. And that is why, even though I have some significant policy differences with him, but I also agree with him on a number of things. And I think this is, as much as anything, a significant place where if there is an area to come together on, this is huge. He is saying, I messed up. I messed up voting for Donald Trump and telling you to vote for him. Has anybody, and I mean anybody of prominence in the Democratic Party, come out and say, you know, we probably would have been better off with Bernie Sanders. Instead, I told you to go vote for Joe Biden, and you did, and now you see where we are. I don't see anybody who's ever said something even close to that. And yet Tucker, who's as influential as anybody, is saying just that, and I think it's great.
Dude, I couldn't agree with you more. This is such a good point. I'm so glad you brought this clip up because, yeah, I don't see the liberal counterpart to this. And I'm with you. Bernie did kind of represent the most populist Democratic candidate in a long time, but then he, gave all of his political support over to Hillary Clinton. This would be as if like Oprah Winfrey got up at the height of the Obama presidency and said, I supported this guy, but the war in Libya is a disaster. Starting Operation Timber Sycamore in Syria is a disaster. That's what this really would be for how much Oprah Winfrey kind of moved the culture at that time. On the right, Tucker's the biggest voice on the right, arguably. Candace is the other real big candidate for that distinction. So I totally agree. I've not seen a liberal counterpart do this. That doesn't mean I'm more attached to like the conservative establishment. I'm not at all. Actually, in some ways, I think, leftists are so much better on wars, and especially wars related to Israel. But this does show real courage. It is a major moment. And it's that humility, Peter, I think that a lot of people love Tucker for. He'll tell you, like, I led people astray supporting the war in Iraq. He says it countless times. I was a neocon. I was a blood-soaked neocon propagandizing for their ridiculous wars. And he has the humility to say it was wrong. I was wrong for supporting him, and I don't see that counterpart in the liberal wing.
We'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be. And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people. It was not intentional. That's all I'll say. But anyway, the question does present itself immediately, like, what is this? Was this always the plan? You don't want to be a conspiracy nut, but like clearly there were signs of low character. We knew that.
Yes.
There's a thing called power dynamics in politics, and you will see it. And you're going to see it in the state of Tennessee very soon. For those people that have watched WWE wrestling, Glenn Jacobs is the mayor of Knox County, where Knoxville is. He is quite a dynamic personality, and he is a giant of a man. I met him once. I can tell you you can understand how he can pick guys up with his bare hands. He is probably going to be the next governor of Tennessee, and he could very well be a presidential candidate in the near future. Now, why do I say this? Because the power dynamics in politics is very unique. Now, is it possible that somebody like Glenn Jacobs has the wherewithal to manage that type of responsibility? It's possible. We'll see. But very often, it is a cliche, but with great power comes great responsibility. And very often people who get this type of power, they don't know how to manage it. And in some cases, they manage it in very sadistic ways. And so the fact that Tucker is so understanding of his position that I think a lot of others are not, is where I tip my hat. When I hear somebody, again, there really is no comparison, but in terms of the person who's clearly getting the most attention right now in left politics, Hassan Piker, that is a person who, in my opinion, has no concept whatsoever of what it means to be in a position of actual power and the level of responsibility that comes with that. Tucker absolutely understands it, and he's trying to do everything he can for the betterment of humanity as a result. And that's why I feature him as a person to look to say, look, he may not have all the answers, but I truly believe he's going to do everything he can to try to steer us in the right direction. And Lord knows, in the lawless country that we're living in right now, we need that more than ever.
Yeah, we sure do. I'm not too familiar with Hassan Piker's content to really opine on him in particular, but I will say, yeah, indeed, that is what a lot of people respect about Tucker Carlson. And as you know, probably, Peter, he spent about a month prior to this war trying to persuade Trump not to launch this war, just like the guy before him did that ended up dead in Utah, Charlie Kirk, who made it a point to say, it's my personal mission to dissuade Trump from launching this war. We saw how he turned out. I don't have all the answers there to know if the feds were in on that, but it is pretty telling that then that's the war that they launched for Israel's benefit just months after it. And absolutely, as far as Glenn Jacobs, I've met him twice. He follows me on Twitter, and he's an imposing figure. You're right about that. I think Marsha Blackburn's going to walk away with this governor race, but I think you're talking about maybe the one after that, and his name has been raised for the potential race after that, indeed.